Alright, we're in Plainfield. Right across the street is the American Red Cross building that used to be Gregory's Music Center. Around the corner was Grove Key Shop, Pizzeria. My grandfather owned that building. It used to be the place to get music here in Plainfield. And today we're going on a run all the way through North Plainfield, but we wanted to start where Gregory's Music Center was, right here on Front Street and Grove. All right, I'm in North Plainfield at 175 Cedar Street. This is where the Pasch family started. All 7 of us, 5 boys, my mother and father, we started at 175 Cedar Street in North Plainfield. Today, I'm going to run around town. I'm going to share some memories with you. I'm preparing for a 24-hour race in Peanut Island, Florida on New Year's Eve. So I thought, would be great, do 3 or 4 hours of running through town and capture it. So let's get a couple highlights. So this house used to be the Calvy's house. Next to that, Mrs. Simmons' house. And then on the corner, the Gardners. And then the apartment complex where Nundy Perez lived, and we knocked out his teeth accidentally one day. This was Nana and Fred's house, and across the street was Mr. Mondello, who had an upholstery business. And then over here where this brick building was, this was Mrs. LaShear's house. It used to have a beautiful chestnut tree out front, which of course now is his professional building. And then down there is the Red Tower, which used to be Updike's, and we used to go to Updike's for a hamburger, fries, or some shakes. Glenn worked there for a number of years. So here's where we were. Route 22 is right behind these houses. In the wintertime, we used to get snowballs and throw them at trucks. Boy, that was kind of dangerous. And then right across the highway was Mr. Peanut, of course, which isn't here anymore. So we're going to take a stroll down Harrison Avenue. We're going to look where I had my kindergarten, and then we'll go to Stony Brook, the high school. We'll have a great day. So it's all started here, 175 Cedar Street in North Plainfield. All right, I'm on the corner of Cedar Street and Harrison Avenue. And if you take a look across the highway, Fabric Land, believe it or not, is still here. That's amazing that Fabric Land is still here. If you take a look over this way, there's a Dunkin' Donuts across the highway there. And of course, that's where Mr. Peanut used to be, if my memory is correct, way, way, way back in the day. Now, if you pan over to the right here, we have the Red Tower, but take a look, there's Caruso Hair Cutters. So the Caruso family, famous in North Plainfield, went to school with a number of the Carusos. They're still in business there. That's exciting to see. So we're going to go into Red Tower, use the bathrooms before we start running today. All right, I just came here to use the bathroom, but I couldn't resist getting a Texas Wiener. So I'm starting my day here at Red Tower with a famous hot dog. Place hasn't changed much in the number of years we have, so if you're living outside of North Plainfield, I'm enjoying this for you. All right, right behind Red Towers, Caruso's Hair Cutters. I wonder how many of you got your hair cut here. I was there a number of times. And let's just do a little panning. Oh, not much has changed. Oh, a lot has changed. All right, off we go to elementary school and kindergarten. This used to be Larry Long's house. Always something going on over at Larry's house. Always interesting. And then if you pan over here, we have, this is where I used to deliver my papers, all these houses here. And then I remember very distinctly, this is the Elias house, so Michael and Chris Elias. And when this house was built, this was a big thing. It was beautiful inside. The Elias decorated it fantastic. And it was like high-class neighborhood. Everything looks really small right now. So we're going to head down Harrison Avenue, down towards Harrison School, where I had kindergarten. And not a lot has changed on the street, which is good. Very encouraging. The houses are still here. Just everything looks smaller. All right, behind me over here is 50 Harrison Avenue. When I was growing up, that was Michael Gillen's house. And Michael Gillen's dad, believe it or not, brought home a real dolphin. This dolphin was injured from some people throwing stones. And in the back of this little yard was an above-ground pool, and Mr. Gillen brought a dolphin home. That was the coolest thing. Here in North Plainfield, we had like you know, orca, little baby orca, but obviously orca was a killer whale. And so there's Michael Gillen's house. Really, nothing has changed really much on this block. And of course, we're going to continue to go down Harrison Avenue. All right, I'm in front of Harrison School. Harrison School is where I went to kindergarten. And later, this is where we would hang out sometimes and play basketball. Panning to the left, that half brick house was my friend Jimmy Talbot's house. And he lived right across from Harrison School. We had a lot of fun and interesting times together. And then if you go down, look down the street here, on the corner, that was the Stein's house. So Chief of Police Stein, Susie Stein was in my class. Across the street was the Nardi's house, Dave Nardi. And nothing really much has changed on this section of the street. The Perrines used to live over here. Tina DeLucia right up the street. So this really hasn't changed much, this section of town. We're gonna go take a walk over now to North Plainfield High School. All right, I'm in front of North Plainfield High School. You can see, if you haven't been here in a while, there's an addition that used to be the junior high wing. And of course, it's great to see the boys and girls concrete entrance flags. That's pretty wild. The main building looks pretty much the same. And then if you look at the other end, there was an addition put on. So if you haven't been back in North Plainfield in a while, there are 2 additions have been put on time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to Crouch Field, cut over, and go take a look at Stony Brook. That's where I went to elementary school. North Plainfield High School. I'm a proud graduate of the class of 1980. That means in January I'll be turning 50. Wow, a lot of time has flown by. Haven't been in the school in an extremely long time. Maybe I'll do that in January on my 50th birthday. Take a look through the school. So a very peaceful day here in North Plainfield. A lot of the homes still the same on this street. It feels like it used to, just from a different perspective. All right, I'm here in front of Crouch Field. The gate's locked, but if you haven't been here, it looks like they really did a job of resurfacing the whole field. Looks really clean, marked out, so it looks like probably some artificial turf surface. Stands are pretty much the same, so we're just going to head out and go take a lap around the track. As you know, I used to run spring track and cross country, so we're going to do at least a mile today on the North Plainfield track. All right, I'm on the steps coming down into the running track, and it was amazing. If you look at these timbers that are used for the steps, this whole section is the original. I see some more down there. If you played football, if you ran track, you remember your shoes always made marks in these timbers. That's really cool. I'm sure these posts are the original posts, and to see the original wood that we were walking on 30 years ago, that's just a crazy, crazy thing.
Okay, like old times, running around the track. Now, one thing that is so funny is those stands. Those stands have not changed a bit. So anybody who used to run track, whoever was coming out, there wasn't many of us at the time, but there was the finish line. Yeah. And the fans would be cheering. My mother used to come out and watch me run all the time. Thanks, Mom. And there was the supply shed. Woo! I think I'm out of breath just like in high school.
All right, this is the Stony Brook. All right, so this is the brook that separated Stony Brook School, where I went to elementary school, from the high school. And we used to take some times here just to walk. It really wasn't a swimming brook. It was a place occasionally to go and drink a beer when you were hiding. But of course, we were much older and legal then. And if you pan to the right, the Getty gas station is still there, but closed. And it's kind of sad. And then, of course, where there's that healing acupuncture place, I think that used to be called Chubby's, 5 and Dime. And then there was a sub shop, JV sub shop, I think was in this corner building, if I remember correctly. And now that is a Grove barbecue place, so times have changed here in North Plainfield. All right, we're here at Stony Brook School, where I went to elementary school from grades 1 through 6. Now, it's kind of a funny story about this school. My brothers all went to West End. And when I went to West End in my first grade, on the first day I came home, I said, Mom, I'm not going to West End. She goes, well, you have to go. That's where the town is divided up. And I said, no, I'm not going. So at first grade, I was able to negotiate with the principal of West End School and my mother to get me transferred to Stony Brook. Why? All my friends were here. It was actually the closest school, and I didn't want to walk a mile to school every day. At those times, we didn't have Mom driving us. So this is where I went to, elementary school. And probably the funniest memory is, well, there's two actually. One, during Junk Week, I found about 50 Playboy magazines. I was in first or second grade, and I didn't know it was inappropriate to bring them and share them on the playground. And the second was in third grade when Debbie Motaz pushed me on the stairs and I broke my arm. It's the only time I had a broken arm. Debbie, I know you're gonna watch this. I haven't forgotten. And then across the street is the Kennedys. If I remember correctly, Danny and Jimmy Kennedy lived in this house. I didn't know too many people on the street about the Kennedys, but Danny was in my grade, Jimmy was younger, and there was an older Kennedy as well. Not too much has changed here on this street. Looks like there's one or two new houses up the road a little bit. What we're going to do now is head to down to Somerset Street. We'll take a look at some of the old stomping ground places and get a little more mileage in as we prepare for our 3 to 4 hour tour of. All right, so Kentucky Fried Chicken has gone through a renovation. It didn't look that clean, but there was a KFC. I remember getting on my bike when I was hungry. Didn't have a lot of money, but I came and bought some mashed potatoes. Those little mashed potatoes with the spicy brown gravy. That was awesome. Now, if you look to the left, VIP Honda is still here, but they have completely renovated. They knocked down what was the Honda motorcycle building. So VIP Honda, Mr. Vince, is still in business with a brand new facility. And if you look down the street here, used car lot is still here. I forget what the name of the dealer that was here. I'm thinking it was a Volvo dealership. I'm not really sure if it was a Volvo dealership, but that's what comes to my mind. So, brand new KFC. I'm not going for the mashed potatoes today since I already had the Death Dog at Red Tower. All right, I am here in front of what used to be called Vitelli's. I really miss the Vitelli's sign. It's now Star Discount Liquors. So Joe and Fran Vitelli, they also had a sister. I can't remember her name, but if you don't remember, Vitelli's used to bottle their own soda. And it was so cool to go in the back and Joe would take us and watch the whole bottling process. So obviously Vitelli's name is lost. What a great icon. But here's an icon that's still here. John's Haircutting. So the barber is still here, and it's good to see that there's still some names here that we remember. I don't know if you've ever went to John's barbershop, but that was a landmark along with Vitelli's, and we'll go take a look at the rest of the town. All right, Sunoco Station, if I remember, that was Zanawick's Sunoco, and looks like that's still the same. Car wash is still here. Only casualty is that green building on the corner, if I remember correctly, was a pharmacy. Now it is a computer repair center. So little changes here. This part of town, we're going to take a walk down to the rest of Somerset Street and take a look at where my first business was back in 1987, and where Guido's Luncheonette is. Let's see what's there. In front of Michael Isolda's house, so there was Kathy Isolda and I think Barbara Lynn Isolda, and so we used to come here, hang out. My Aunt Barbara used to live on this street as well, Caswell, and as we can see, as we pan over this way, the Italian-American Club is still standing, which is awesome, and still hosting great local events, including the pig roast. If you have not been to the pig roast, well, you're missing something big. So we're keeping on going down Somerset Street. I'm standing on Somerset Street here. That building, which is now Denoyers, in 1987, I started a computer consulting business called Custom Computer Systems. Just had 3 or 4 employees. And then around 1991, we closed that when I went to go work at Goldman Sachs in New York. Along the side here, if I remember correctly, was Hoffman's Deli. Now, looks like a number of stores there, Spanish cuisine, barbecue, have replaced that. So this section of town looks like it's gone through a lot of change and renovation with different buildings, different names. But back in 1987, that's where my consulting started. All right, I'm here on Harmony Street. If you remember, this was a bar called Harmony Street at one point, ran by some local North Plainfield guys. Across the street here was the famous Guido's Luncheonette. That's where my brother Jimmy met his first wife. He's on number 3 now. And but Guido's Luncheonette, remember Amir used to serve up great food. And then the best is Herb's Liquors is still here. Now at Herb's Liquors, we used to ask Matt Curtis's older brothers to go buy us beer when we were just slightly underage. And Herb's Liquors was the easiest place to get served. Well, maybe the second easiest place. So some things haven't changed here in North Plainfield. All right, I'm here in front of Somerset School. And I didn't go to Somerset School, but a lot of my friends did. And actually, it's so funny, that police guy was a North Plainfield graduate. And he's pulling someone over. He was a year younger than me. And his name, Ed Sinker. That's who it is. So that's who's pulling over this person here. And Ed Sinker was a class of 1981 in front of Somerset School. Some things never change. All right, I'm here on the corner of Chatham and Somerset Street to let North Plainfield veterans know that the top shelf is still open and ready to serve you. Across the street, the Amco transmission place is still there. Also, Somerset Plumbing Supply. The rest of the stores here are all servicing the Latin community here, restaurants, mailing, postage, computer cards. So a lot has changed here, but top shelf is here. At St. Joseph's Church, where the Pasch family went to church growing up. And so that still hasn't changed. What has changed is my grandmother's house. So Bob and Dorothy Pasch lived here and on Manning Avenue, and this house now is painted mustard yellow. So that's, I think that might upset my grandmother in her grave, but it is what it is. Times are changing. Across the street, Pepe's restaurant, still there, 25 years. I remember when Denise and I were first dating, we used to go to Pepe's for chicken parmesan and bring wine. I thought it was really fancy, bringing Sutter home White Zinfandel. I was the king of wine with White Zinfandel at Pepe's. So some things here on this corner haven't changed a bit. I'm on Grandview Avenue, right off of Watchung here. And this is 53 Grandview. In 1985, I bought this house with Randy. We lived here a few years. Beautiful Victorian home. And right down on Grandview on the left is where Michael Solda lived and my Aunt Barbara, the Caswell family. And so it's kind of funny that my first house purchase was on the same street that my aunts and friends were on here on Grandview. And I think this was Ronnie Noldy's house. I think she said her parents are still in town. So if we take a scan of Westerville, most of the houses are all the same. Nothing really has changed. Up on the right, where the Boxwell family house. Didn't know too many people in this area. I know Sue Stanek lived somewhere nearby. Ronnie was here. Clint Boxwell and Megan Boxwell. But if you take a look, the neighborhood really
is unchanged. So we're going to head up to Norwood Avenue, see where my mother was raised, my grandfather's house. All right, I'm on Norwood Avenue, 165 Norwood. This cute little Tudor my grandfather, Frank Gregory, built. My mother and my uncle Bob lived here. And then after my grandmother and grandmother died, my mom and dad moved in here for a short period of time. And then Jimmy moved in for a short period of time, and then it's now since sold. But on this street, we had the Newell family across the way, and the Paglias just lived 5 or 6 houses down, and across from their house was Highwood Park Baptist Church, where I spent a number of years in high school and college with their youth program at Highwood. We'll go down there and take a look at that in a minute. All right, I'm here in front of Highwood Park Baptist Church. Teacher at North Plainfield High School, Christian man, introduced me to the Bible and really turned my life around in my junior year here at Highwood Park. He was a member, got involved with a youth program, met a great guy named Gordon Schuett, and really got involved in helping the youth ministry here. And then during college continued to work with some local churches, even a Korean church up in Hackensack, New Jersey. And I came here today. I haven't been here forever, and it's interesting how the dynamics of this community have changed. The sign is in Spanish now, and when I was going to the church back in 1978 through, say, 84, there wasn't any sign of a Spanish community, and since then North Plainfield's really transformed, so times have changed. All right, I'm here in front of East End School. Now, remember, I went to Stony Brook, but my good friends Chris Pruitt, Matt, Nancy Paglia, man, there's so many. Melinda Meshner went here, and Lori D'Amico, a lot of great people, Susie Hammond. So this was always kind of the cool school. You know, Stony Brook was a little bit on a notch lower. These were more expensive houses on the East End, and I think all the beautiful girls really were in the East End and West End. Maybe just the East End. But we're going to take a walk around Malai Drive, some of the houses here, and shoot some memories. So if you went to East End School, it looks pretty much the same to me. All right, we're on Muriel Avenue. I think Lori D'Amico's family lived down over here. Also Mike Curran, I think. This street hasn't changed a bit. No new construction. Homes look pretty much the same. So if you grew up in this, or if you grew up in this area, things look pretty much the way they did 30 years ago. All right, I'm on Malai Drive. We're making good progress through town. And one of these houses back here used to be Melinda Meshner's house. Now, we just had our 30th reunion, and Melinda does not remember a party gone wild in her home. And I remember people like poking forks into the ceiling. Food was being thrown around. I remember her basement got trashed. Now, she doesn't have any recollection of that. There could be reasons for that, but I did ask some other people, and they did remember that that party got out of control. And I kind of look back on that with fond memories. Not that our house was destroyed, but it was a good party. So we're on the East End now. We're going to head out to Mountain Avenue, visit the home of my first girlfriend, Terry Lee. She was an 8th grader, and I was in 7th grade, and that was big news back then. So off to Mountain Avenue. Mountain Avenue, 421 Mountain Avenue. If I'm correct, that's Terry Lee's house. Later, her parents put on a second story addition. And these houses pretty much have stayed the same. Right across the street is Angelo and Angelina Di Cristofaro. So that's my sister-in-law Lisa's house. Of course, there was Maria, Lisa, and Barbara Di Cristofaro. And their dad owned G&A Auto in Plainfield, if you have ever gone there. So we're going to stop in and see if Angelina's home. I came by to say hello as we're running through North Plainfield. We made it from Cedar Street all the way here to Mountain Ave to say hello. Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, Bon Natale. We have it all here in North Plainfield, the Italians, the Spanish, and just a few Caucasians left. So we miss you. We'll see you soon. All right. I'm here off of
Mountain Avenue in the East End. Angelina wasn't home, and I want to thank Gary Weiner, who's the CEO and president of Mr. John, for just having the perfect timing. You know, when you need a Mr. John, he's there. So Gary Weiner, thank you and your team for putting this Port Sandy Johnny Wani outside this new construction in North Plainfield. It's time for a break. We've been at it now almost 2 hours, and it's time for a pit stop. There's nothing beats a Mr. John. So I'm on Brook Avenue in Farragut. Brand new bridge here going into Plainfield. So that's the first time I've seen that. I'm going to go down to Brook Ave to where Matt Curtis and Chris Pruitt used to live. Got in a lot of trouble down that way. So let's head down Brook Avenue. All right, I'm on Brook Avenue, 230 Brook Avenue, if I'm correct, was Chris Pruitt's house. And you can see that they've picked a puke purple color, violet, to accent the house. And Chris was one of my closest friends in high school. Still love him, and he's out in Pennsylvania right now. And then across the street here was the Curtis house. So Matt Curtis, Pete Curtis, Gabriel Curtis. So this was where we hung out an awful lot, and had a lot of fun here on the east end of town at Chris's house, at Matt's house, and just hanging out in the area. And it's good to be back. Over 30 years ago, we were here hanging out. Not much has changed on this street. Things look really specific. I'm in front of Caruso's Photography. So old man Caruso did my parents' wedding photography. Of course, he's been around a long time. I'm sure he's long gone. Looks like this business is up for sale, but what a name in North Plainfield in this area. He always reminded me of Charlie Chaplin somehow. But we're moving over towards Rockview Avenue, where the second house where I lived in North Plainfield. All right, we're on the corner of Rockview and Grove, North Plainfield Public Library. Nothing much has changed here, and if you do a little scan of the houses, again, the architecture hasn't changed much. And if I remember correctly, the house on the corner up there is Mark Lee's old house, or one in. Mark Lee graduated with me in 1980. So this area of Grove Street and Rockview hasn't changed much. Now we're going to go down Rockview, where some of the most beautiful colonial homes were placed. I'm on Rockview Ave. Now, memory doesn't serve me well. I thought at one time this was a nursing home, but it looks like it's turned into a synagogue now. We have a lot of Orthodox folks walking over there, so it may have been purchased and turned into a Jewish synagogue or a meeting facility. But this is just gorgeous colonial homes. Take a look at the colors, this architecture. I mean, they're just fantastic, these homes on the left. And it's great to see that somebody is taking care of them. A lot of the town has been a little beaten up, but this is one of my favorite streets in town. In front of 49 Rockview Avenue in North Plainfield. When I was in 9th grade, I moved into this house. We stayed into this house for a long time, and then my parents moved back to Norwood, and my brother Steve bought the house. And looks exactly the same, except we had it painted white. The neighborhood is exactly the same. That's the Tarbus house. Kenny, Reenie, Tarbus. Kenny was a year older. And then as you look down, these beautiful colonial homes. Karen Mannion and Sharon Uminski used to live in that brick house down the way. Nothing has changed on this street. It looks fantastic. It's good to be back in North Plainfield. All right, I'm here, Green Acres Park. It's off of Rockview Avenue. Spent a lot of time back here doing things that I can't repeat on the video, but I do remember going down to the brook, experimenting with frogs and firecrackers. Details are too gory to describe as a young boy. And just going back here, hanging out with friends. This is a very small little park in North Plainfield, and just down the street from where we live. I really am connecting with the beautiful Victorian homes along the street here in Rockview. This is my favorite part of the trip so far, just reconnecting with these gorgeous big homes, and in, I guess you would call it the little hilly section of North Plainfield. We didn't really have much, so enjoying the day, and I hope you're enjoying these videos. All right, too. I'm on Greenbrook Road in Rockview, The house with all the beautiful wreaths, that's the Miller's house. So Bubba Miller, Jimmy Miller, Danny Miller. I think the Millers still live there. And if you pan to the left, the house on the corner was Sergeant Stein, then Chief of Police Stein, and Susie Stein, who graduated with me. Okay, I'm on Maple Street here. 200 Maple Street is where I drove my bike to pick up my newspapers. I delivered newspapers for the Courier News as young as I could do a paper route, and did that up until I think I was 13. And I used to come here, pick up my papers. They were in the garage, and I remember one time winning an RCA television, and it was black and white. It was about this big, about a 7 or 8 inch. It was red, white, and blue. I thought I was the coolest guy in town to have my own black and white TV, and I won that as a Courier News paper boy. So a lot of interesting memories. Now this house across the street looks like a tree fell on it. Those two cones look like where a tree used to be, and it looks like this house has had some better days. So hope everyone in that house was safe and not injured. Okay, I'm on Maple Ave. Right up there, it's Route 22. This building that is now Somerset Farms used to be Perkins Pancake House, and at age 13 I applied. I worked for a few weeks, and then they found out I can't work until 14, so I came back, and from 14 to probably around 17 I worked as a short order cook. Over here used to be Watchung Pools, and now it is Bob's Discount Furniture. So we've made a tremendous loop all the way to the east end of town, through Rockview, down up on Dahlia Terrace, Maple Ave, and we're heading back on Cedar Street. We've had a great day here. We're heading back to Cedar Street to pick up the car. Hope you enjoyed this video, and some memories of North Plainfield come back to you. All right, so this is the last video clip of the day. This was the apartments here on Cedar Street, and if you come around this way, Rob Tackleson's house here, and then I think one of those two houses next to him was the Metner's house. So Tony Metner, Mickey Metner, I think they live right over there. And then I think over here in this house here was the Shispanskys. I think it was Karen Shispansky, I don't know. Shispansky, I think it was. So this was our little neighborhood. This house here was the Gardner's house, and their son was tragically killed in a car accident. I think when he was a senior in high school. I think his name was Bobby Gardner. And wonderful parents. I delivered papers to them. So this is North Plainfield. This is where I grew up. Some things have changed, some things have stayed the same, and hope you enjoyed the video. So the running is done, and no better place to finish the day than lunch at the Rathskeller at the Denellen Hotel. Now, it wasn't a place that I hung out with in high school. Many of you may have been at the Rat, but I didn't frequent it. But we were just here recently for our 30th kind of reunion post-party event, and we're here Sunday afternoon. Jets are playing, up 20-3 against Kansas City. So we're having some local food. Hope you enjoyed this walk down memory lane of North Plainfield, finishing with the Rathskeller in Denellen.